Hello everyone, my name is Michelle Watson and I'm going to be doing part two of our project. Um, as you know, we're Team CPMC and we're going to be discussing Sprint 1. Um, our agenda is we're going to talk about our team commitments on JIRA, what our team actually completed. We're going to take a look at our burn down chart. And lastly, we're going to discuss some challenges that we faced. Okay, so first, our team commitment on JIRA. Our team was committed to learning and practicing how to use Spring. Um, this is kind of an important part to our project, so we wanted to make sure that we understood what we were working with, and we took some time to practice and just run minor things using the Spring framework. We also uh, planned on learning about APIs um, because APIs are something new to us. We also wanted to learn about the category partition method, as that was also something new to us, something we'd never heard of. And lastly, we were committed to implementing a feature that allowed the user to enter an input file. That's where all the coding was supposed to happen, and let's see if that actually happened. So, what was actually implemented? What we did compared to our commitments, we actually set up and practiced using the Spring framework as we planned. Um, we also researched APIs and got a better understanding. APIs are something that we needed to understand better, and we took the time we needed for that. We also learned about the category partition method, which I would say is a very important part of our project, considering it's our whole project. So we took a good chunk of time to learn about that. And we actually created a program that takes a JSON file as input and parses the information contained in the file. This is where our coding happened, and we actually got it to work. There are some things that are not fully complete, but we'll talk about that later on. Okay, now we're going to take a look at our burn down chart. Let's see, where is that? Okay, so our burn down chart looks a little funny. As you can see, it's a straight line and then it's completed. The reason our burn down chart looks the way it does is because we only have one user story for the first sprint. We only have one user story for every sprint because, as you know, our project is very back end heavy. The user doesn't really interact with much. Other programs and other projects that people are working on have multiple user stories because their users are interacting constantly with their projects. They're having to create buttons and they're having to create things that the user will click on and things like that. Whereas our user simply uploads a file and it's complete. That's the extent of what they're doing. So that is why our burn down chart looks the way it does. We took all our time and as much time as we needed to actually complete that. So that's why it goes down on the last day. So back to the PowerPoint. Where is that? Here it is. Some of the challenges that we faced, although we have set up our front end, and Constance is actually working on improving our front end and making it look a little better, we're having trouble retrieving the file that is uploaded and using it on our backend code. So whenever you upload a file, like Cameron showed earlier, it stores it, but we're having trouble getting that code and using it in our backend code to basically access that file. So we're gonna have to work on that and seeing how to connect the front end with the back end. Then another issue that we faced was there's been kind of a learning curve when it comes to using Eclipse. Personally, I know that I'm used to using IntelliJ, but we had to kind of switch to Eclipse because it was easier to use, and it's very different. So we've kind of had to teach ourselves how to use Eclipse when we're used to using IntelliJ. Um, we had some issues with downloading the files from GitHub and getting it to work properly because of project structure. Now, this part we still struggle a little bit with, but um, for some reason, when we downloaded it from GitHub, it wouldn't run. And then we were trying to fix it, and it took up a little bit of our time, but that was another challenge that we faced. And another issue that we had was our initial code to parse the file, the one that Cameron actually discussed, is very messy, and we were struggling to make it clean and organized. So we're actually working on coming up with newer code that is much better looking and much more organized and cohesive. Um, yeah, so that is the end of our presentation. Um, Thank you for watching and have a good night.